Welcome back. President Biden and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu speaking by phone yesterday for the first time in 49 days. Vice President Harris also joined the call where they discussed Israel's planned retaliatory attack on Iran. The Biden administration is denying Iran's claim that $6 billion in Iranian frozen funds will be released to Tehran, reportedly. The Treasury Department announced an agreement after Hamas's attack on Israel on October 7th to indefinitely freeze that money, which had been released from South Korean banks as part of a prisoner swap deal. Joining me now is Nebraska Senator Deb Fischer. She's the ranking member of the Senate Rules Committee and also a member of the Senate Armed Services, Agriculture, and Appropriations Committees. Senator, thanks very much for being here. Do you find it odd that Israel has been under attack since last October 7th and Joe Biden has not spoken to Bibi Netanyahu for several weeks, except for yesterday?
You know, I'm glad that President Biden finally is speaking with the president of Israel, the prime minister of Israel, you know, to have those conversations. And I hope that he made it clear that the United States will stand with Israel and be their partner and help them in this fight against terrorism. I hope he did that. I don't know if he did or not. But that needs to be made clear, that Israel needs to do what needs to be done to protect their own country.
Well, obviously, it hasn't been clear because Israel apparently has been not sharing information with the U.S. any longer. The U.S. said that it was unaware of the plans for the pager and devices attack, which happened a couple of weeks ago. And now we continue to hear the same messaging from Biden and Harris, and that is they want a ceasefire, despite the fact that Iran sent 200 ballistic missiles into Israel just last week.
Right. You know, I think it was very telling that Israel did not share the information of their attacks that they were going to do with those pagers with the United States. It shows a lack of trust in the United States and a lack of trust in the commitment the United States should have to Israel. When we consider the terrorists that are attacking Israel from all sides, you would think the United States would stand up. You would think that the Biden administration would stand up. Instead, they talk about de-escalation. That only emboldens the terrorists because they can see that we don't have that firm commitment to Israel.
Yeah, and Jonathan Madison, I think this is one of the reasons that some Jewish voters have become one-issue voters. That is the Israel issue. Because in the middle of Israel's fight for its own survival, the administration reportedly held back weaponry that Israel desperately needed.
Yeah, and holding back weaponry might as well be emboldening the other side. Might as well be giving weapons to the other side, as far as I'm concerned. You're withholding Israel, your allies' ability to defend itself and to fight for itself. And last time I checked, the whole purpose of having allies is having someone to have your back, not telling you de-escalate the situation, let the other side win if it takes it. Senator, I had a question, though. I mean, you know, we know that President Donald Trump has his views that are starkly different from President Biden. President Trump says, hey, you know what? If they want to defend themselves, if they want to attack, let Israel do it. Let's support them in doing that. That's why they're the allies, right? And we know that President Biden, on the other hand, is saying, let's de-escalate the situation. Let's somehow call for peace. I mean, what do you think is the more viable solution here, given everything that's happened and given all the deaths that have occurred in Israel since October 7th of last year?
Well, obviously, I support the same position that President Trump has. We should be helping Israel. They're doing our job for us as they attack terrorists, as they try to wipe out terrorism, whether it's Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis. When they look at Iran, they have had a tremendous fight on their hands. We should be supporting that. We should be encouraging that. We should be providing them with what they need instead of having the world question our commitment to Israel, the only democracy in the region.
Yeah, and meanwhile, this is all getting political with the open border and members of this brutal Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang caught allegedly trying to recruit middle school students in Texas, according to the New York Post. The Department of Justice also arrested an Afghan national this week who's accused of plotting an Election Day terrorist attack on U.S. soil on behalf of ISIS. He entered the U.S. shortly after the Biden-Harris administration's botched withdrawal from Afghanistan on a special immigration visa. And one day after Trump warned that terrorists are crossing the border back in September of 2021. So, Senator, I ask you, what are the policies that you believe are most important for the U.S. right now? I mean, you've got your own election here. You're an incumbent senator in Nebraska, and the race has emerged as one of the ones to watch with just, 3.5 weeks to go before Election Day. There is some reports that controversial backing that includes Soros-linked dark money vying to unseat you on your opponent's team.
Yes, that's very true. There's about $10 million, $10 million in attack ads that are out there against me, and that funding for my opponent who's trying to fool Nebraskans into thinking he's an independent. That comes from Soros money, billionaire money, dark money. There's been articles written about that. But Nebraskans see through that. They don't want to see a Senate seat sold to billionaires who live on the coast. So I'm conservative. Nebraska's a conservative state, and we've delivered for Nebraskans during my time in the Senate and have good support. But it's a close race.
Yeah.
It's a close race. But we're getting the information about my opponent who believes in amnesty for illegals and Social Security benefits for illegals. So I think we'll be good. But we're out there working hard.
Yeah, Todd Pyra, real quick, we have run out of time.
Senator, are you aware of this happening, this dark money, Soros-backed dark money in other states like Texas, Pennsylvania, Michigan, et cetera?
You know, I can't speak to that, but I know we're watching this race very carefully, and Nebraskans are aware of it now. There's been articles in national media that focus on that, and I hope Nebraska media picks it up as well.
Senator, thanks very much. We'll be watching your work. We appreciate your time. Senator Deb Fischer joining us this morning in Nebraska, and we'll be right back.